We're now joined by Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, on 365 Sports. He's been traveling. There's a bowl game coming up. It's been a weekend with awards and Big 12. Let's start with this. First of all, hope you're doing well. Your commissioner and friend, Brett Yormark, threw down some hammers last night about the Rose Bowl, about the Big 12, and it's the deepest, and it's competitive, and it doesn't need to rely on Texas and Oklahoma. Your thoughts about a lot of what he said and some things that you yourself have said?
Yeah, I think, I certainly, support his comments in terms of the Rose Bowl. It goes back to that saying that no one person, no one entity is bigger than the whole, right? No one person is bigger than the university. And, I certainly understand the Rose Bowl and its history. But, this is about college football and, the other 5 contract bowls, New Year's Six bowls were certainly in line. And I think we need to be thinking about, what's good for collectively, what's good for the sport, what's good for college football. So, I think, certainly the Big 12 in a really good spot, a great position. You think about just the end of football season. I felt like, we, the Big 12 from top to bottom, were the most competitive conference in the entire country. And, you look at the championship game numbers on Saturday, over 9 million, just the attendance, again, 2 brands that, are part of the 8 that remain, 2 years in a row. So all of that is just really, really positive and good stuff for the Big 12.
He also mentioned, and I know there were a lot of national writers there, but he had mentioned something about realignment, and it sounded again like it could be something sooner rather than later. He kind of went about that 4th time zone again, which is the West Coast. Is that still simmering, or would you say that is actually more than that?
Yeah, I think it's, maybe, how I would best describe it, maybe not necessarily, him. I certainly don't want to speak for him, but, through my lens, it's something that we're still keeping an eye on. And, there could be an opportunity here in the future, and we're still going to be thoughtful of it, thinking about it, and if there is an opportunity, be ready to move in a really aggressive and strategic way. So, yeah, still on our list of potential opportunities.
Mack, you're in the bowl, the Armed Forces Bowl, and I saw some scuttle on the Twitter, which everyone thinks Twitter runs the world. It doesn't, but there's a lot of back channeling, maybe a little bit of infighting. What schools didn't want to play in Fort Worth, what schools did. I'm sure that Baylor fans would like the proximity, but there's other places that are close as well. Was there any kind of tension, infighting, whatever, when it came to the assignment to go to Fort Worth?
Yeah, so no, I appreciate the question, because there was, from what I understand, a lot of conversation on Twitter and other social media channels, and I think first and foremost, we're grateful to be going to a bowl game, and this was a difficult year, probably one that was maybe a little bit more difficult than what we all anticipated. I think there was some really, really positive things, and I think there were some things that were struggles. But to be able to go to bowl games again, to be able to go to the Armed Forces Bowl, celebrating their 20th anniversary, I think that's really special when we think about support of our United States Armed Services, to be playing, Air Force 9-3. Coach Calhoun, I know Coach Calhoun. He's first and foremost tremendous person and obviously a heck of a football coach. So all of those things are positive, and we're grateful. I think, probably some of the scuttle all, it really, quite frankly, has to do, about the way, the bowl process goes with the Big 12, meaning that there's a selection order. It's not tied to, how you finish within the conference. And so I think there was a lot of conversation just within our conference about how all of that played out, not just for us, but for others. And, I'm not going to go into specifics because I don't think that's fair to some of the other institutions, but it's something that, Commissioner Yormark, certainly him and I have discussed quite a bit over the last, 3 to 4 days. And, Scott Draper, who's the new Associate Commissioner for Football, same with him. And I think it's going to be a topic of conversation for the Big 12 and the athletic directors and how we do that in the future. And if indeed we don't tweak it.
Did you wake up that same morning thinking that would be the bowl game you would go to?
Yeah, quite frankly, no, just to be honest. There were, all conversations leading up to that. We were, again, slotted elsewhere. For reasons I can't really disclose and not my place. It changed at the last minute. And I just think that process, and how that went down for us and some others needs to be refined.
Well, Baylor wouldn't have been the only one. Nothing, again, with what Brett Ringler does, the executive director of that Armed Forces Bowl. As a military brat, I'm thrilled. Paul's father served, and Craig's grandfather, both of them served. So I'm excited about that, the tradition of it. But it didn't seem like this was just Baylor and Fort Worth. This seemed like it might have been a handful of schools. Did blue blood and name of school get involved when it shouldn't have?
I think, again, I want to be careful because, I've got great respect for all of our member institutions, and, we want all of our student athletes collectively to have great experiences. And again, let me go back to how I started the conversation. We're honored, and I think that's probably the most appropriate word, is we're honored to play in the Armed Forces Bowl. And Brant Ringler, is a friend. I've been with a previous institution that played twice in that bowl game, and it's a great experience. But there was some process of a bigger name being selected, toward the top, where that wasn't consistent with where they finished in the league standings. And so when that happens, there's a domino effect. And so, it impacted us. And, again, we're in a great place. We love the fact that we're, only going to be an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes away from home. And we're, in the Armed Forces Bowl. And I think it's special to be part of their 20th anniversary. So, and it's going to be a great experience for our student athletes.
Mack Rhoades is at Nebraska. There was a story written about the search they had. And in that story, from a couple of guys that are well-respected writers, but the story actually said in one part that Dave Aranda reached out to Nebraska late in the process, and then they thought there was interest late again. I've been told that's not true.
That is absolutely 100% false. Dave never had any interest in Nebraska, nor any other opening. Now, I will say this, schools, and I'm not going to mention any one or particular schools, plural, were interested in Dave Aranda. And, Dave's been very clear with his agent that you're not to talk to those schools or those particular schools that reached out this year, and for that matter, last year, on my behalf, and show any interest. And so, yeah, 100% false. And some of this stuff is, there was a report, early on in the process with Auburn, right, and that Dave's agents were talking to Auburn. And, well, Dave's agents don't only represent Dave. And they may have represented Brian Harsin and maybe some others. And so the way some of this stuff gets started, it's actually sad, and you shake your head. But, yeah, I can say 100% he did not have interest in Nebraska.
You need a new defensive coordinator. Dave does, and there's obviously the search for that goes on. He's always been pretty much, under the radar. There's not a lot of scuttle when it comes to the staff that he's hired before, although last time it was Mateos and Grimes, and there's been other changes between now and then. Ron Roberts had been there before, was a part of that great defense of 2021, and now he's gone, and others as well. It seems like there's a lot of change. Every year there seems to be a little staff change. Where are you think, when it comes to replacing the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, no, I think we're in a good place. As you would expect, Dave's got such a great reputation within college football, and it's everybody knows within the industry, and identifies, who are the really good coaches, great coaches to go work for, right? From a professional growth standpoint, from a culture standpoint, from a quality of life, family standpoint, and I would say Dave is, certainly in that top tier, and then given Dave's history and as a defensive coordinator and how respected he is, in that area, there are candidates that are certainly interested, and I think it's for Dave, and I think I could speak on behalf of him. It's going to be about certainly scheme and similarity, philosophically, but it's going to be way deeper than that. It's going to be about, the culture and connecting with kids and, person over player. That's primary, all of those values, items that they're in alignment with our program and certainly with Dave. And so, I think he's, pleased with, the people that he's talking with. I know, I am as the athletic director, and, we wish Ron and Ronnie, all the very best. Both, goes without saying, both just really, really good people, and worked really, really hard. And, sometimes, it gets to a point where it's not working as well as you'd like, and it's time to move forward. And so those are really two really, really good football coaches that will land on their feet, and certainly grateful to both of them for all they did for the Baylor football program.
Does it come a time, Mack, and one, first of all, for anyone that might not realize it, you guys have the ability, if there was a big name, like maybe a former defensive coordinator at a bigger school, Power 5 school, or interim head coach, if you needed to step up for a salary, is that available for whoever he wants?
Yeah, I think that, we were very competitive, or were very competitive at the coordinator spots, both offensive and defensive, in terms of our salary within Power 5, within Big 12, and so we're I don't I don't foresee that being an obstacle to hire who we want. Now we're always going to be reasonable, and somebody's got to, their history, their past achievement, accomplishment, who they are as a person, a fit, that'll have to match up with that type of salary.
Couple more things. Barry Odom, head coach at UNLV. You hired him in Missouri. You happy for him?
I'm so happy for him. Barry and I probably text, once or twice every couple of weeks, and he's remained a good friend. He's a really a great person, and he's a dang good football coach. He's a great leader. Should have never been let go at Missouri. That came down to personality, and he's just, I'm happy for him. I think UNLV absolutely hit a home run by hiring him.
Brittney Griner has been released, and apparently by the time we have this interview, I'm not sure exactly about the travel time, but that was announced earlier today by the White House that she is on her way back. Your thoughts about one of the great names as far as athletes and impact in Baylor athletics history?
Yeah, just amen. Praise God. We say this and hopefully we live it and we show it and we mean it, that once part of the Baylor family, always part of the Baylor family. And Brittney Griner is Baylor family. And that's never going to change. And, I think we're all overwhelmed with joy for her, and yet probably still some concern. Just, I can't imagine, we can't imagine what that was like. And, probably as she recovers from that experience, so happy for her family, for Sherelle, and that she can be reunited, with her family. Man, praise God. I read an article, a quick article, and certainly, it's been well documented about Paul Whelan, and I really feel for him. I feel for his family. His brother was quoted as saying that they are so supportive and happy for Brittney, and President Biden did the right thing by cutting that deal for Brittney. Wow, that says something about that family. And, we sent out a statement, early, a joint statement from President Livingstone and myself, and just again praying and thinking about not only Mr. Whelan, Paul Whelan, and his family, but all of the Americans that have been unjustly imprisoned overseas. And it's, Smoke, in this, I just, what happened with Brittney is because it's been so close to home and it's been family, you go through life and you don't think about some of those things, the Whalens and others. And, I think this brought some attention, at least to the Baylor family, that, there's some families out there that just, there's been some injustice, and we just need to think about them and pray for them. So, but, back to Brittney, so happy, and I personally can't wait to see her and give her a hug, as I know, thousands of people, feel the same way. And by the way, just just lastly, so proud of our head women's basketball coach, Nikki Collins, and her genuine just love and just care for Brittney and the patch and all of it, and so grateful to the Baylor family because I know they've lifted up Brittney and her family in prayers. So just a few thoughts.
Could you see you honoring her before the end of this basketball season with the jersey?
Yeah, I don't know. And the reason why I say that is, this is going to be about Brittney and really how she wants to handle her return. And I don't know. I don't know her well. And she may want complete privacy. She I want to do, and I think we all want to do whatever's best for Brittney Griner. And however she wants to handle her return and that journey back and that path back, we just want to be there to love her and support her.
Thank you, Mack. Appreciate your time as always. I know your schedule's loaded because of travel. Mack Rhoades, Baylor's Director of Athletics on 365 Sports.
All right, so